In tonight's news edition, the King affirms the important role of the Greater Amman municipality in providing services to citizens and calls for supporting its efforts to address challenges. Minister of State for Media Affairs says Jordan and a number of the region's countries are part of the international coalition efforts to confront the Daesh terrorist group. And Saudi Arabia says Gulf Arab countries will take necessary measures to protect the region against aggression by Yemen's Houthi group if a peaceful solution cannot be found. Good evening and very warm welcome to the news. His Majesty the King affirmed the important and pivotal role of the Greater Amman municipality in providing services to citizens and called for supporting its efforts to enable the municipality address challenges and perform its duties. At a meeting with Amman Mayor Aql Biltaji and the Municipality Council members, the King called for developing plans and programs that would contribute to improving the level of services offered to citizens. His Majesty also stressed the need to boost cooperation between the municipality and public and private sector institutions, as the municipality is also concerned with the history, heritage and identity of Amman in addition to the services provided to the citizens of Amman. He also called for developing the tourism product in Amman, prepare for the tourism season effectively and focus on attracting local and foreign investments through benefiting from the architectural and tourism features of the city. In this context, the King instructed the Greater Amman municipality to draw a work plan in partnership with concerned bodies to facilitate services provided to citizens and overcome challenges facing them. The Mayor of Amman spoke about a number of projects that will be carried out by the municipality as well as its future plans. Prime Minister Abdullah Mansour said that the government understands the challenges Al Ramtha district and its people are facing, as they are considered the most affected by the repercussions of the Syria crisis due to the hosting of a large number of refugees. During a visit to the northern city, accompanied by a number of ministers, Mansour said that during the past 4 years, Jordan did not get the deserved support needed to address burdens arising from the Syria crisis. Addressing officials and citizens, the Premier stressed the need to manage our resources and distribute them in a good, just and equal manner. Mansour said that demands of Ramtha citizens are fair, but there are financial limitations that require an equitable distribution of resources according to priorities. Minister of State for Media Affairs Mohammed Al-Momani said Jordan and a number of the region's countries are part of the international coalition efforts in training Syrians and their tribes to confront the Daesh terrorist group. Momani renewed Jordan's call for finding a political solution to the Syria crisis through dialogue and in accordance with the outcome of the Geneva I conference.
Jordan, along with other countries in the region, in cooperation with coalition members, continue to discuss and in the process of helping the Syrian people and the Syrian tribes in the areas controlled by terrorist organizations and Daesh. We are in the process of helping them and training them in order for them to defend themselves and in order for them to defeat the terrorism that has been killing their sons and daughters and occupying their land and committing all these atrocities. So Jordan is part of that, and it's a continuous effort in order once again to help the Syrian people and the Syrian tribes resist and fight terrorism. This is not at all to say that Jordan is changing its policy towards Syria. We still stand by our position that we are supporting a political process, a political solution to the Syrian crisis based on Geneva I. And we still think that the solution for this crisis will be based on bringing all factions, all Syrian factions together to discuss the stability of their country and the future of their country.
In Syria, armed rebels fired mortar rounds into government-held parts of the northern city of Aleppo. State television said 13 people were killed and dozens wounded when shells struck Baron Street, falling near a school as students were leaving after class. Authorities closed off some roads to clear the way to hospitals and urged residents to donate blood. Also, government jets bombed an area near Jebel Az-Zawiya in Idlib province, where an army helicopter crashed the previous day and where its 5 crew members were captured by rebels. The rebels later shot dead one of the crew, according to videos posted online. Iraq's Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi will visit Washington next month to discuss the ongoing fight against Daesh terrorists. The April 14th meeting will be at al-Abadi's first state visit to the United States since becoming Prime Minister last August. The meeting with President Barack Obama is also expected to address a broader cooperation between the United States and Iraq on what the White House called expanded political, commercial and cultural relations. Meanwhile, in Iraq, a car bomb in front of a popular restaurant in a Shia district of eastern Baghdad killed at least 2 civilians and wounded 16 others. The blast took place in Habibiyah district, which is part of the Shiite area of Sadr city. The explosion damaged a building and a number of civilian cars. The attack comes as Iraqi security forces battle Daesh terrorists who control large areas of north and west Iraq and who have claimed many recent bombings in the capital, Baghdad. Saudi Arabian Foreign Minister Saud al-Faisal said Gulf Arab countries will take necessary measures to protect the region against aggression by Yemen's Houthi group if a peaceful solution cannot be reached. Prince Saud was speaking at a joint news conference in Riyadh with visiting British Foreign Secretary Philip Hammond. He also remarked that the Saudi kingdom opposed Iranian interference in Yemen. Hammond said Britain would discuss with Saudi Arabia and the United States how to reinforce the position of Yemeni President Abdrabbu Mansour Hadi, adding, and I quote, "None of us wants to see military action."
The UK is absolutely clear in its support for President Hadi, the legitimate government of Yemen, and for the integrity of the Yemeni state. But this is not an area where we can act alone. We will work with our Saudi GCC partners, with the United States, with France and other interested countries through the Friends of Yemen, of which we are the co-chairman.
Also coming up in the news, Their Majesties meet with prominent Jordanian women and emphasize their role in building Jordanian society. And Singapore's first Prime Minister, Lee Kuan Yew, dies at the age of 91. This and more after this. His Majesty the King stressed the important role Jordanian women play in the comprehensive national development process. During a meeting at Al Husseiniya Palace with prominent Jordanian women in the presence of Her Majesty Queen Rania, the King emphasized the role of women in building the society and their efforts in addressing various challenges and promoting the development process with the participation of public and private sectors. His Majesty highlighted important achievements by Jordanian women at the local and international levels and called for further support to women nationwide. Leading women spoke about their success stories as well as projects and initiatives that enhanced the role and image of Jordanian women. His Majesty the King received the President of Kazakhstan Senate, Qasim Jomart Tokayev, who delivered to the King an invitation from Kazakh President Nursultan Nazarbayev to attend the first Congress of Leaders of World and Traditional Religions scheduled to be held in the capital, Astana, in June. At a meeting at Al Husseiniya Palace, the King stressed Jordan's keenness to strengthen its friendship and cooperation with Kazakhstan in various fields and to build on the outcome of his visit to Kazakhstan last year. His Majesty highlighted the need to continue coordination and consultations and to intensify efforts among all states and influential parties to bring about peace, security and stability in the region. He also reiterated Jordan's stance, which calls for addressing terrorism and terrorist organizations and their threats with a holistic approach. The King also affirmed the need to clarify the true image of Islam and its tolerance and noted the role of religious conferences in highlighting Islam's moderation. Senate President Abdurrauf Roabde also met with the Kazakh Senate President and discussed with him ways of forging closer parliamentary ties between the two countries. Roabde also reviewed with Tokayev the current situation in the region, noting the burden being shouldered by Jordan as a result of hosting an increasing number of Syrian refugees, in addition to its efforts to combat extremism and spread the values of moderation and tolerance to promote peace and stability in the Middle East and the world. Singapore's first Prime Minister, Lee Kuan Yew, died at the age of 91, triggering a flood of tributes to the man who oversaw the tiny city-state's rapid rise from a British colonial backwater to a global trade and financial centre. Although Lee had receded from the public and political scene over the past few years, he was still seen as an influential figure in the government. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon and leaders from around the world expressed their condolences to the leadership and people of Singapore. Here's more.
As Singapore began a week of national mourning for its founding father, tributes were pouring in from around the globe. Lee Kuan Yew died early on Monday at the age of 91. The Philippines Foreign Affairs spokesman called him an inspiration.
Mr. Lee was a visionary statesman who built Singapore into an economic powerhouse and modern society that has been a positive force not only in the region but also in the world. His fortitude, political will, and wisdom will continue to be an inspiration in the years to come.
Indonesia's vice president also hailed Lee's achievements as a leader.
Tentu pemerintah dan saya pribadi menyampaikan belasungkawa mendalam atas berpulangnya almarhum Bapak Lee Kuan Yew.
The Indonesian government and I personally deliver our deepest condolences for Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, who's passed away, he says. His Excellency, as a father of Singapore and also a very influential ASEAN leader in Asia, he gave us inspiration to build Asia together with Mr. Suharto, Indonesia's former president. Thailand's former Prime Minister Anand Panjarachan says he'll be missed by many.
I have seen him in action for the past 5 or 6 decades. He inspired me, and I think that he provided a role model as how to govern a country.
Dozens of world leaders are expected to travel to Singapore for Lee's funeral on Sunday.
Japan is welcoming the spring season with the unique scent of blooming cherry blossoms. The scene is nothing if not magical, as the country's iconic flowers begin to open up in beautiful shades of light pink. This report has more.
The cherry blossom is one of Japan's most beloved flowers, symbolizing new beginnings and fresh starts. This year, that fresh start kicked off on Monday, March 23rd, when the country's meteorological agency declared it the first day of the cherry blossom season. For the past few days, the whole nation's attention was focused on one particular tree, located here at the Yasukuni Shrine in Tokyo, where the count of 5 fully opened flowers on the official sample tree would mean the announcement of the Kaika Sengen, or Blossom Bloom Declaration. This declaration was made 3 days earlier than average and 2 days ahead of last year, to the delight of visitors.
I find each and every cherry blossom bud beautiful during this season, so much that I feel God's presence in here.
Cherry blossom buds grow to become flowers and they eventually fall. It's a bit sad, but that's part of their beauty.
Cherry blossom season typically lasts for about a week in Tokyo, with many residents coming out to parks to enjoy hanami, or cherry blossom viewing picnics.
World number 1 Novak Djokovic defended the Indian Wells title, beating Roger Federer 6-3, 6-7, 6-2 in the final of the ATP Indian Wells. Federer fought back in the second set, winning the tie-break with the help of 3 double faults from the Serb, but Djokovic recovered in the deciding set for his 50th career ATP win. Djokovic had beaten Andy Murray in his semi-final in convincing fashion and showed the same ruthless efficiency in the opening set against Federer.
Game, set a match. Djokovic. 6-3, 6-7, 6-2.
And in the women's division, Romania's Simona Halep won the title with a 2-6, 7-5, 6-4 comeback victory over Serbia's Jelena Jankovic in an exciting final. Jankovic served for the title at 5-4 up in the second, but Halep, the world number 3, won the next 3 games and battled back for the biggest title win of her career. The tense, enthralling encounter had both players making plenty of mistakes, but the 23-year-old Halep displayed impressive determination to secure her 3rd title of the year. Impressive performance there by Halep. Finally, a look at the weather forecast. Chilly tonight in most regions with southeasterly fresh winds. Tomorrow, a further rise in temperatures will create fair weather across much of the hilly areas with a high of 20 degrees in Amman and a bit higher across the Badia region, around 23 in Ma'an and Al Azraq. The Jordan Valley should expect pleasant conditions with a high of 26 degrees at the Dead Sea. Further south, warm weather is forecast for the port of Aqaba with northerly moderate winds and calm seas. Now look at temperatures forecast for tonight and tomorrow. To close, our top stories once again. The King affirms the important role of the Greater Amman municipality in providing services to citizens and calls for supporting its efforts to address challenges. Minister of State for Media Affairs says Jordan and a number of the region's countries are part of the international coalition efforts to confront the Daesh terrorist group. And Saudi Arabia says Gulf Arab countries will take necessary measures to protect the region against aggression by Yemen's Houthi group if a peaceful solution cannot be reached. And that's the end of tonight's news. My name is Raad Luptoush. Thank you so much for your time. Have a good night.